Central Florida is top of mind here. They come in at number 16 in the Jimmy's and Joe's power ranking. I'll kick it to you to start. When you look at Scott Frost coming back to UCF, what's kind of your initial thought and temperature check there?
Well, yeah, he's one of two guys. We'll talk about Rich Rod at West Virginia later that are coming back to a former school. Just a really interesting storyline there in and of itself. This is a team I really loved the Gus Malzahn hire when they made it. I thought that was a fantastic hire for a school like Central Florida. I thought that he would get the most out of that school, and that's one I really got wrong. He ended up resigning last year and saving the school quite a bit of money by doing that, so shout out to Gus. But yeah, this is Scott Frost. Obviously, the shine has worn off quite a bit because of his tenure going back home to Nebraska. But you forget, if you just focus on the Nebraska tenure, that he took over at 0-13 UCF team, got him to bowl eligibility in year 1, 6-7, and then went undefeated, 13-0 in year 2. So literally from winless to undefeated in a span of 2 years. That's just absolutely unheard of. And it feels like a guy, I said this about Gus Malzahn, but it feels like a guy that could really unlock some potential at this program. I don't know if they'll do it this year, but as I was doing my notes, I came to the conclusion that, there's a lot of unknowns, but I think the most known players are at the three most important positions. I think they have a good quarterback in Taven Jackson. I love their left tackle, a 6'10 German kid named Paul Rubelt. And I really like the pass rush. I think the pass rush could be a really interesting weapon this year. So as you dove a little deeper into your research, I'm sure you found some flaws, but I like the three most important positions, arguably.
No, I think you're right. I think UCF being down here at the bottom, I think is a product of, one, Scott Frost feeling like a true retread that maybe nobody was asking for. It kind of feels like the sequel to a good movie, but a movie that felt like it was final and, a one-off. And hey, man, I can enjoy that, 5-10 years down the line, but then they start making sequels and it's like, oh, we need...
So Scott Frost is Glass Onions, the sequel to Knives Out?
Oh, yeah, that was...
really need.
We really didn't need it. And listen, Scott Frost, if he could find a way to bottle up that magic that he channeled in the late 2010s, right? The 2017 run was nothing short of remarkable. But what I'm concerned about at the highest level is Frost, it felt like, lost touch and fell behind with what modern college football ultimately ended up being. He goes to a bigger program in Nebraska where he has all the resources and all the advantages that maybe he didn't necessarily have at UCF, and he absolutely fell apart. They went 16-31 in his short tenure in Lincoln, and then he kind of lit everything else on fire again by saying don't leave for the wrong job when asked at Big 12 Media Days, like, oh, what happened at Nebraska and what lessons did you learn? To me, it started off his second tenure at UCF on just kind of the weirdest of notes, where I didn't necessarily think that it was all his fault at Nebraska. I mean, there were a lot of things that it felt like the athletic department wasn't necessarily doing right, and that was not a team that was built to win a Big Ten championship game. But man, to throw the administration and the school, your alma mater, where you are a legend, under the bus in one fell swoop was an interesting start. He hires Alex Grinch as his defensive coordinator, which is an immediate no from me, dog. One of the worst defensive coordinators statistically in college football over the last, I don't know, decade. He's been ruining defenses at Oklahoma and then USC, and then finally got fired. And to be honest, I don't know what he went and did in between USC and UCF, but here he is. He's popped up again. We're going to play this version of Whack-A-Mole. So the coaching hires give me concern. I cannot say that I'm bullish on them. Now, the roster, to your point, has a boatload of new faces, and I don't know how the puzzle pieces will fit together. But in a vacuum, there's a lot of talent on this team. The roster last year I felt like was talented, and they were one of the best offenses as far as running the football. I believe they're fifth in the country, almost 250 yards a game. They were a top 15 total offense, but when it came to actually getting the ball across the goal line and into the end zone. They were one of the least efficient teams in the country. They had a turnover margin of -8. It was just this weird Gus Malzahn enigma where they could put up all the numbers and then wouldn't necessarily punch it in, pay it off. So UCF has to find their identity on offense, and I know they're going to need to run the football. You mentioned Taven Jackson, Cam Fancher as well. They've got to pick a starting quarterback. And then the offense just simply has to hang on to the ball. They bring in Jaden Nixon as their lead running back. He came over from Western Michigan, where he was very productive in Kalamazoo. The offensive line has some really nice pieces. And, the wide receivers may be a little bit thin, but they bring in transfers from Florida and Charlotte and D2 Limestone. So I don't know. It's an intriguing group. I think, though, when I look at the defense and just not knowing what to expect with Alex Grinch leading that group. I mean, we saw the talent that he had at Oklahoma and at USC, and I can't buy in. I'm sorry, Knights fans. I cannot buy in to start this year. Their over-under is at 5.5, which to me feels a little bit high, and it feels like the Jimmies and Joes kind of agreed with that assessment. So, nothing personally against the Knights. Like I said, there's some pieces here that I really like, but until I can see it work and it not just kind of be a Days of Our Lives episode, respectfully, I'm going to be out on UCF in 2025.
Well, if you're looking for optimism, UCF fans, the team that was voted 16th in this poll last year won the conference. So congratulations on the 2025 Big 12 championship to the UCF Knights. But
that's right. In
all seriousness, Alex Grinch having an Alex Grinch defense means you're going to have to win in shootouts. That's just a fact of life at this point. We've seen it at 3 different schools. It is how you're going to have to win games because of just, frankly, his inability to put out a competent defense. I don't know how the man still has a job. He obviously knows way more about football than you and I ever will, but as we've seen time and time again, he just has not been able to put a competent defense on the field. The 5.5 over under is really interesting. That's a really common number to the Big 12. I think it's a safe number for Vegas to just kind of throw it out there and say, hey, will they make a bowl or will they not? The schedule's not terrible. You look up and down. They have a tricky opener against Jacksonville State, but that's a Gamecocks team that is rebuilding in and of it themselves, switching offensive schemes. They host North Carolina. I have no idea what the Tar Heels are going to be this year, and anyone that tells you that they do know is lying to you. So the non-conference could be difficult, or it could be a thing that we point out and say, hey, they won 3 games and really built some momentum going into conference play. They do go to Manhattan. They go to Baylor. They go to Tech. So that's really difficult. 3 of the top teams projected in the conference, all on the road. If they're going to make a bowl, I think they have to sweep West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and Houston. But they get all 3 of those games at home. So
sure,
it could be worse, I guess. But certainly drawing those top 3 teams on the road is no cupcake.
Yeah, and I think to your point, getting those swing games at home is certainly an advantage. We know the Bounce House can be an intimidating place to play. By that point, though, in the season, if it's all fallen off the tracks and if Scott Frost continues to talk bad things into a microphone and Alex Grinch hasn't been relieved of his duties, I don't know if the students are showing up that late in the season, but we'll see. I look forward to hopefully UCF getting to rebuild that brand. It was so much fun seeing seasons go to die in the Bounce House and just kind of being able to set your watch to that. It's next year that they change the name to Acrisure Bounce House. Isn't that right?
I think it might be this year, actually.
Is it this year?
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know that name change is coming really soon.
Yeah. Well,
I love that they officially they kept the Bounce House in the name. Like the company that bought the rights is at least doing that. So we're not fully selling out to corporate sponsorships there.
Sure. That's always a plus when we maintain some semblance of integrity of the game.
When I think about the most storied places in college football and what we need to protect tradition-wise, I think the name of the Bounce House is probably top 5 in the list.